Jarvan getting banned, I think, makes sense. Does ThunderTalk want to get rid of Lee Sin because Junhao has been kind of smurfing on the champions so far this split, and we've just seen that right now is like the trio of, do we just pick jungle, or are we going to take something that is going to be really aggressive in bottom lane? And that's going to be the Ezreal, which gives you the flexibility and is, I think, one of the most prototypical Leave champions. He is going to dash forward at some point in this game, so you're always getting ready for it.
Ezreal, outside of being in the hands of Leave, very safe champion as well, gets to match up really well into a lot of the mages that we have seen less and less of as the split has gone on. But the karma denial here is good from ThunderTalk. It does leave them with the burden of picking somebody to go with it, and I like the fact that even though they don't lock it in right now because it is still a little bit risky, they recognize in the hovers that lock is still up, and EDG unlikely to pick it now that they've already gotten Ezreal, and a lot of the flexibility from lock to go into the bot lane would be pre-denied.
Yeah, and Locke is such a... He really does not want to play into champions that either have a lot of healing or a lot of health. And Ryze is a champion that kind of does a little bit of both. Just Rod of Ages healing plus the amount of HP. It's a complete nightmare. We're getting Ezreal Seraphine, so a very strong, a very resolute bottom lane, but one that I am not expecting to kind of get off the ground rolling, especially because we are on 26-16. I think it's pretty important considering we've been seeing a lot of focus towards playing more of the bottom lane pairs, and Seraphine is a champion kind of like her Enchanter counterpart in the Karma, who wants to stay in the lane a lot of the times, but Karma to me usually can roam a lot better than the Seraphine. So I don't know. I think someone was trying to make an argument that enchanters are almost like incentive. I think that was you, actually.
That was
you were
me
talking
yesterday,
about like yeah, like enchanters kind of feel like they got like miniaturely buffed because everyone wants to stay in lane a little bit more.
So question, does this look like that to you, or is this sort of an exception because you don't believe in that argument?
I think that it's more true than other people would likely give it credit for.
Sure.
I just don't really want to see Parukia play an Enchanter. Like, he is so good on engages. It's like, it's night and day. Like, I think Parukia is a challenger level player when it comes to, like, obviously he's a pro player, but he's a challenger level player when he's playing engage. I think he's maybe like a Masters or Grandmasters player when he's playing an Enchanter. It is, to me, a lot different. It's a different skill set that you need to play. And now we get to the second phase of bans, and so far, EDG are very long ranged. I almost feel bad for Jijik because he's right now the sole engage of the team. And I don't know if we're necessarily going to get one from mid or from top lane when I look at what's been banned and what ThunderTalk already have.
Nice thing is, you know, if you are a Parukia engage believer, ult can go pretty hard here. We could very much see Assault and Battery plus Encore be EDG's bread and butter engage, but that'll be largely determined by not even the rest of this draft, just by whatever version of Parukia and Jia show up today. ThunderTalk considering their next pick. A lot of the jungle was focused out by EDG, both in the first and second round, with Jarvan and Pantheon taken out. Neferi is still up. People do like Neferi a lot in this particular split. Wouldn't be surprised to see that, but a Rumble gets locked in instead, opening up ThunderTalk to a top lane counterpick.
Wow. ZDZ, are we really going to pick Cassante here? I know it's, you know, a popular matchup, but I feel like you really want to have the ability to outplay. ZDZ has been really incredible this split, even if I sometimes think that he lacks the ability to transition some of his lane leads into the rest of the team and in team fights. So far, I think ZDZ has been consistently the best player from EDG this split, carrying them to a game victory versus BLG earlier on. And now, Edward Gaming have the front line to enable it. I still think that this backline's a little squishy for my liking. You had mentioned the Neferi, and I think Neferi pairs so well with a Ryze, and now I see the rest of this team from EDG with very little crowd control. I am worried that EDG, if they make a misstep in a team fight or we get to an objective and they're a little bit spread out, this ThunderTalk team is just going to run over them with Jhin Deadly Flourishes, Ryze ultimates, and just Neferi running wild.
Deadly Flourishes are going to need to be on point because, as I was enjoying pointing out in the series yesterday, ThunderTalk are the team with way less engaged. They don't really have a way to do that in a quick and fast way in the same way that EDG do. So they are going to need to coordinate, especially around on, in order to make these engages happen, in order to make something stick, especially on somebody like Leave, who if he's not arcane shifting forward, could genuinely become immortal during the course of these fights by being able to escape with the arcane shift. EDG, as you mentioned though, really strong front line here. ThunderTalk's job is going to be to disassemble this with the insane amount of damage that they have.
Yeah, Ezreal Seraphine should be able to get push early, but the upfront damage of a Jhin Karma might upset that. And Syndra, unless she gets an advantage early on, I am expecting that Ryze is going to very easily be able to move around the map. So ThunderTalk, I need to see them play an intelligent game. I need to see them be able to play the map a little bit wider than their opponents. And that might end up backfiring on them. Again, the rookies have not really been all that consistent, and especially Heru, it is his most played champion this year by far. 20 games of Ryze with this game included. The next highest is 9. I need to see a lot more from this guy. It's the end of the season.
With Ryze locked in, we get the chance to cheat our macro once again and see how far ThunderTalk can go up against an EDG who might just be on the rise.
I'm glad for Game 1 the fans came out. Some of the fans in Game 1s have been quite lackluster, I will say, but we're already coming out to play here at Xi'an.
Before we get
Yeah, what's up?
too deep into this game, I do want to acknowledge that maybe EDG on the rise was not the wording that I should have chosen, because Rise is also a champion as well as an action.
They might be on the rise, literally. They might all jump
actually
him.
physically be on the rise.
Yeah.
You know, you're right. This could be big brain.
Yeah. They're going to jump Rise. They're going to send 3 people mid. Seraphine Vi. I just said Seraphine Vi. I feel a little bit of bile in my mouth.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the combo I want in mid, but we got Syndra, right? Syndra, very, very explosive. I love this champion, and I'm glad to see more of her. I am sad that we're not getting more damage out of her. I think that she abuses things like Imperial Mandate ever since the rework. But junglers are on the same side of the map. They are going to spot Junhao invading. They have no prio from mid, and Bulldog gets to move.
That does avoid a lot of the burst. He gets to back away relatively unharmed. Got a little bit of information there and got shut down on the invade. But his whole top side still available. So for ThunderTalk, no harm, no foul. Instead, they just get to lay down a little bit of vision and will continue to watch Yeji on his own jungle clear. ThunderTalk getting a little bit of early push as well, as Jhin is want to do, with the wave bouncing back in their favor. And for the moment, the early invade having been shut down, I think likely leaves both teams not wanting to be too proactive for the next few minutes. ThunderTalk happy to continue farming up, and it looks like JJ gonna be happy to do the same on his journey towards level 6.
Man, I feel bad for ThunderTalk. That's for me anyway, when we were talking about playing in Pro, that is a really expensive timer for Junhao. It's information, so they know that JJ's on this side. You got to see that Feather and On actually push the wave in. On gets a recall. Feather is taking up a lot of damage here, but it seems like he's going to be fine. When you're in a Fury, you can counter invade, or you can try to look to punish the Vi, but not having any vision now, he's behind and is clear, and he's on the other side of the map now.
Button popped by On, but there is a jungler behind him. Jeje wanting to get active early. On got the early back, and Exhaust has already been popped. On can take somebody with him. Leave, though! Flashing away! Stays alive! Parukia manages to get the kill, and Feather answers it back! It is a 2-for-1 in favor of EDG, with ThunderTalk only taking one with them. Nice proactivity out of Jeje.
I mean, they know that the Nefiri has to be on the other side of the map. He has no other camps to go for. And I think that was just a very smart punish coming in from Edward Gaming. They got Digit to activate the bottom lane. Now there's no summoners available for this Jhin Seraphine or Jhin Karma bot lane. And yeah, you have great wards from ThunderTalk, but you have absolutely no coverage. They had to know that this damage was going to come out from them. And Feather, because he has no mana, with no ability to spam all his spells, they don't get the requisite damage. And ThunderTalk are also fighting in the mid wave. It just feels like a culmination of just bad decisions and good punishes coming in from EDG.
Really painful to watch Leave get away on that amount of HP as well. On would have really liked the extra gold. First blood still available to him at that moment as well, but instead getting traded away ultimately leaves them in a quite bad position. I know, I can't do it. I can't do it. You heard me sidestep. In the pause, there was like a duck and cover movement from me.
That's what we do when the ultimates all dodge, or they don't land on anybody. Ooh, Keshi's now level 6. ZDZ. He actually, this guy's such a G man. He took Time Warp Tonic on Cassante, so he has the additional adaptive force. And because he pressed ult and he has a Negatron cloak, he has a ton of damage. So Keshi had to be really careful there that he didn't just get randomly solo killed. But also already went to base and has a nice clean pair of plated steel caps.
Very, very difficult to kill a champion through that. Parukia gonna get rooted up in the bot lane, but damage still a little bit lacking early on in this for both On and Feather. Even Parukia gonna get shoved under tower once again. With bot lane having priority, Junhao gets to take the scuttle. Keshi is creating prio for free in the top lane, as Rumble loves to do around level 6. Ignore the enemy champion, kill the wave, and get lots done for very little cost. Junhao starting up the first dragon of the game.
Alright, we get to see some of the ramifications, because Jeje opened up his bottom lane to get those 2 kills. He obviously falls behind in camps. Junhao takes the enemy Krugs. He gets into their camp. He's level 6 first. EDG say, hey, we're not going to fight. We're just going to try to go not do anything. Funnily enough, because of the denting blows there, Keshi actually gets to see Jeje over the wall thanks to the animation. He's just going to annoy him. I don't think he's going to be able to kill him unless Keshi flashes this guy. Okay.
Oh, Keshi flashes on this guy! Yeah. Punished in the most absurd way for the invade, and Keshi doesn't even miss a minion!
That is why you have to be able to hide the animations over the wall. There's so many different things you can try to do, like Raptors is the most abusable one, because you can see it if you're kind of fighting them closer to their turret, but that was just a very smart punish from Keshi. He knows he's probably under no threat, but ZDZ has his ultimate, and you see the pings coming out. ThunderTalk know there is a possibility that Vi just walks top lane after doing one of her camps. They know the Krug respawn timer. This can just be a repeat or a retribution gank onto the Rumble, who has no flash, no ultimate.
See, Keshi's able to play safe right now. A little bit of vision laid down for EDG around his tower, but Keshi, with nearly equalizer back up, doesn't have the biggest problems on the map. Instead, that's Leap, who's getting ulted on in the bot lane, locked up by the deadly flourish. Ezreal, no chance to play the game, and one more auto would kill him. Junhao avoiding the last bit of damage from the tower. ThunderTalk pick up a kill top lane and bot lane in short order.
Wow, feels pretty good, man. I think Leave also thought, hey, maybe I could get out of that, but did not respect the fact that there could be a tether coming on through. Oh, we're just staying. Parukia is dead, for sure, right? Okay, well, that, in short order, is not very good for EDG. That sounds pretty obvious.
Yeah, that is reminding me a lot of our pregame conversation about engaged versus enchanters for Parukia. And Parukia, in that moment, not looking like the player we know he can be. So, unfortunately for him, taken down. It is another kill over to ThunderTalk, and EDG, despite having a really good early gank kicked off by Jeje, have now fallen behind pretty significantly. And Jeje going for another one of these invades. This time Feather going to be able to lock him up on the wrong side of the map. Jeje getting Realm Warp done, and this is likely another kill just going over to ThunderTalk for absolutely free.
I think that is incredibly intelligent from ThunderTalk. Now stopping Jeje from getting an invade. They saw Junhao on bottom lane. They just got the kill. Jeje's thinking, hey, I can go for this. I can steal his wolves. And he gets a majority of the camp, but that is extremely dangerous there. You then get punished thanks to Feather on the recall. He comes out of base. They protect Junhao's camp, so it's a kill over to Junhao, who already had one to start. Now he gets to take his blue and his Grom, and there's still a Grub here. Like, this Nefiri was at a pretty bad start to begin the game, but is now very far ahead. I know it only says 500, but being half a level up and getting what could be 5 points into your queue, that could just straight up kill a solo laner that isn't named Cassante.
Yeah, Junhao has just gotten a lot more value for his time because of the early game. You wouldn't have thought so. When he walked in, saw Xiaohao, had to walk all the way back out to his topside jungle, and Xiaohao basically had a couple of minutes for free to gank the bot lane, but Junhao really been able to turn things around with Xiaohao throwing himself into the topside jungle a bit too recklessly and being punished for it twice. Now that we're cresting 10 minutes into the game, we've got about a minute left until the next dragon. ThunderTalk already have the advantage there, having picked up the first, and they could end up playing for an objective control game with the lead that they already have and the damage that we know this composition really brings in the mid game.
Alright, so he's up 300 gold. Likely Digit is still going to be able to finish his Sundered Sky here. It seems like right now the plan is let's try to attack this Rumble, see if we can get in, but Phaelites is going to spot him as soon as he jumps over this wall. Doesn't seem like there's going to be much of a play. Keshi might not have his flash, but he still has the Equalizer. That could just be a wave gone. I think JJ right now needs to focus on finishing his first item so that we can have a possibility to contest, because I think even with the 1,000 gold differential, the gold is kind of spread out, particularly around top and jungle for ThunderTalk. You could make an argument that Syndra is completely fine to fight here, and I would be willing to play around a Blackfire Torch.
Just have to do it. Keshi getting engaged on does burn the Equalizer to burn the wave, but in comes the very first Assault and Battery of the game. And ZDZ will pick up the kill, so managing to make the gank happen even after the failed attempt earlier with the Phaelites is a really good sign for at least the top lane hopes of EDG.
They might continue to go for this. Junhao just showed mid. Their bottom lane just got back to the lane. And this is hubris here for On. He wants to go for a bit more of a scaling build. I was worried that it might be a Collector or it might be the Yomu's. He's kind of taken a page out of Leaves' book. This is something that we see him do all the time. And they're starting up this dragon. I think even without the Vi ultimate, this could be very real for EDG.
ThunderTalk perhaps getting a bit too greedy, but with only Xiaohao in the river, they don't feel confident going for this. Not able to fight around the Blackfire Torch from Bulldog, and ThunderTalk are going to get their second dragon of the game. We've got an Infernal Rift coming at us. And with 2 dragons out of their belt already, ThunderTalk's composition, which already has a boatload of damage, looks even scarier if they're able to pick up an Infernal Soul.
You got the teleport. That's as good as I think you're going to really say as EDG. You got the summoner spell out from the Rumble. ZDZ gets to save his. Then I press tab and I look at On and Feathers. They already have their first completed items. There's also the Moonstone Renewer picked up here for Feather. He's got to be really, really careful here. See some pings going on. They don't have a ton of control from the river, so Nefiri could just actually gank through the lane, and Karma Jin set up very well for Junhao in his entry.
On has been on point with the deadly flourishes so far, and does mean good things about what ThunderTalk can expect from the fights a little bit later on. Feather on the front line, also always fishing for engages. Check back in with our junglers. That has been the real focus of this game so far. Xiaohao just finished clearing the red and is importantly moving back up the top side, where EDG do not control the vision, but where their ganks have been relatively successful so far.
You see Fog of War right now? That banana brush that Rise is going towards right now? Okay, ZDZ, you have to know that they're coming here. This could be Realm War plus Nefiri. Has to be extremely careful. Doesn't matter that he's this tanky or that he has the flash coming through. They could very quickly still even make this. And now that Heru's here, you got to be worried a little bit. It seems like they're going to make this transition and try to kind of supplant themselves as the team, for ThunderTalk anyway, to contest for this Herald coming up.
Yeah, this is a nice move from ThunderTalk to make the best use of Rise's time. Moved up, tried to get the gank off, didn't quite work, but still gets to transition into the top lane. Now with your bot lane moved up to the mid lane as well. There is a lot of power on the top side of the map for ThunderTalk. Xiaohao, however, bottom side and hovering Bulldog right now would love to get a pick. Has the ultimate available once again. Feather a juicy target if they're able to land the damage from far away, and Xiaohao is going to hop onto him. Flash expended from Feather, but that is a huge encore to lock him down. EDG even burned Bulldog splash to make that pick happen.
That I didn't see, and that I'm a little less excited about. That one does not spark joy in this part of mine. Look, he's 1,000 gold up. He's going to be more useful than the Rise, at least until Heru finishes an item or two. But if I don't see a lot of protection for this Syndra, I am going to consider that ThunderTalk are going to have a ton of threats to still be able to pick this guy off. So how we see EDG actually play around Bulldog, a player that you were hyping up and trying to see if we can get him signed for 27, is going to be something that I want to see whether or not they can actually transition in.
One of the caveats to what I was talking about in the pregame with Bulldog is that Bulldog has to be brought in with the rest of the team, and I think that given his strength right now, it can be extremely tempting. Just leave Bulldog in the side lane, not really have him join for anything, which could ultimately hurt EDG. It'll be up to Bulldog and hopefully the comms with the rest of his team to control his positioning on the map so they actually get the most value out of him. Right now, side lane looking like a lot of value. Keshi forced to flash away. So EDG managing to get that in the bot side, and Xiaohao gonna go fishing and not gonna find, as we know, a Rumble.
Herald gets taken. Dia, is there a... I bring this up because it is quite funny. Would you say that nowadays that there are any builds that you would maybe say are synonymous with a player? I think that the easiest one is probably the Chovy belt, right? Like most mid laners now just building Rocket Belt because they nerfed Leandre's a couple of months ago.
And are there any other builds?
Yeah, is there one that, especially as a C below person, I don't watch a ton of it, so I'm asking if there's someone there that kind of has some idiosyncrasies.
I haven't noticed any recently, to be honest. But to be fair, that's also because I mostly let my color caster worry about the itemizations that are happening.
All right.
We haven't seen a lot of crazy stuff in ZBuild. I remember when Ari's meta, that happens a lot, that people have very different takes on it, but no, not recently. Why? What got you thinking about it?
Okay, On's build. I brought this up earlier, but seeing Jin play a Hubris plus PD is something that we have seen Leave do all year long, and I think it is really funny and maybe a little of a small way for players to be able to interact with each other that isn't just text-based. We're seeing a lot of skirmishing, but this is just going to be Dragon going over. Actually, they pushed Vi off. Heru and Junhao got here. Now there's a teleport.
This Dragon that could have just been a trade one way is now turning into a team fight on top of it. Another Encore going to come through to lock down the Nefiri. ZDZ goes over the wall, and ultimately the Dragon will fall to EDG as ThunderTalk are going to lose their top laner. They are losing a whole lot more than this. They are losing control of this game. Heru not going to get CC'd, will escape, but missing 3 members. ThunderTalk walk away the weaker and without a Dragon to show for it.
Yeah, ThunderTalk just were not able to punish there. I thought EDG, the way that they controlled both sides of the fight, it was Vi hitting the Dragon, it was them pinning on up against the wall and sending all of their skills at this Jhin. So now, you just look at this, Jhin is sitting in mid lane, trying to deal damage versus Ezreal, and Feather is nowhere near his team, right? And Keshi's still waiting, this Equalizer kind of pushes Parukia off. The Dragon going over is a big win here for Edward Gaming, and I just thought that so far, they're starting to build on some of the things that we've seen from them this split. I know that their series score is 1-11. It is not going to get much better, even if they were to win this series, but I think we are starting to see some of the results of a longer regular season of playing double round robin against 7 other teams.
Absolutely. I mean, EDG are looking for their end of season uptick. And ThunderTalk, despite having put up a really good fight in the early section of this game, have far from closed this game in EDG's face. Remember, there's nothing to lose. So when EDG fall behind, They just happen to be behind at the moment. When ThunderTalk fall behind, they've got to worry about their season standings and got to make plays to get it back, something that EDG are eating the face of right now. The attempted play from ThunderTalk not actually going to work in any tangible way, but let's see what they're able to make happen over the next few minutes with the mid lane pressure they got.
So we're 4+ minutes away from the last time we saw Bulldog use his flash. We didn't punish that. Now that we get to come back to this topic, I think that EDG are actually in a fantastic spot. I was worried for Bulldog, but he very likely could just end up finding a lot of damage onto Heru, who, despite even having him have the upgraded Merc Treads, which did get nerfed this patch. I want to bring that up. 2616 saw upgrades to, well, I think we're going to see someone die.
Yeah, we're cyberbullying Feather again. Does this get answered? Jie out over the wall. Is going to get out, but Leave commits in onto On and Junhao. He does not win the 2v1. And Heru going to try and answer back onto Jie. Does he die to DFT? No, he does not. ThunderTalk go 1 for 1 with Leave on the iconic Ezreal shift forward.
Had to see it happen once. All right,
Yep.
that is both my favorite and least favorite part of Leave. It is something that, as a fan of his, it is. I just gotta live with it. Okay, it's a personality trait at this point. I know he's going to do it. I just have to wait. When in the game is it gonna happen? And thankfully, they still have a 3,000 gold lead. So in the grand scheme of the game, likely not going to make a big impact. And if I'm gonna be his lawyer here, that was 3 flashes gone. Ryze doesn't have flash. Jhin doesn't have flash. Nefiri doesn't have flash. I'm still taking it, and we're at a minute and a half before Dragon.
Yeah, but you know, but by the numbers, could have worked out, still could, around this next Dragon. With a minute left, Bulldog gonna see if he can crack this top lane tower before the objective comes up. Would be a lot more gold for EDG to work with, especially as Bulldog is now working on his 3rd item of the game. The Syndra terrifying right now. Biggest gold lead, richest member of the game right now. If you are going to play around somebody, Syndra is that person right now. I'd like to see EDG manufacture a team fight where they can really leverage Bulldog's strength.
Ooh, gets canceled. Likely he's just going to have to recall anyway, and he'll just TP, but I don't think it's going to make a big difference. What I was talking about before, boots got changed. We saw that Sorkpen boots, for some reason, they gave more penetration, and the Merc Tread boots, tier 3 for mid lanes, actually got less MR. So mid laners get to be a little less safe, and I think there's a good push from Riot so that we have more offensive mid laners. We have a Dragon, and I don't know if TT can push through this here, guys.
Take an Arcane Shift out this time, so the rest of EDG very happy they get to keep their AD carry alive. We've got a really big flank, however, from Heru. He is on, I mean, a secret mission, and EDG are just finding out now. We've got an Encore that at least manages to buy a little bit of time, but with Bulldog down, it's ThunderTalk that are fighting around EDG's point of strength, not EDG.
Can they get the Dragon, though? Keshi is waiting. He wants to see if they can take the Blast Cone. Not going to be the case. Dragon seemingly going over to ThunderTalk, and that'll be sole point for them achieved, and maybe even a couple of plates off of this bottom lane tier 1. That's going to very quickly eat into this gold. This game is incredibly even, and that pick onto Bulldog might be a crux as to why we see ThunderTalk look for a game 1 victory here. This was a very clean engage from them, and I think the flank from Heru just kind of pincered them into a very uncomfortable position.
Really smart global move. We'll take a look back at the replay to see how this starts for ThunderTalk, but their focus on Bulldog is impeccable.
Oh, Equalizer into Deadly Flourish, into quite literally the kitchen sink. You could not have thrown more objects in the entire household. If you maybe the baby and the bathwater, all of it, every single piece is in there.
Bulldog was not prepared. He can only what is it? Force of will, either the baby or the kitchen sink. The bathwater is too immaterial, and the other one is gonna kill him. We knew the metaphors were gonna get worse as the day went on. We just didn't know where the floor was.
Maybe
Well,
not using it on a baby, but I would like to have Syndra's W. Syndra's W sounds like an incredible, like, oh, I don't want to pick something up. Just, you know, use the magic and mind power. Just pick something up, throw it around, slam it against the floor if I want to.
You know, until you said the second part of that sentence, I was going to say, I think it would be a great childcare tool most of the time. The
That's why I said not the baby.
Yeah, the floor part might, you know, might not. But otherwise, I think it's got some pretty good redeeming qualities as the next generation form of postnatal
That's why it's called
care.
force of will and not suggestion of thought.
Yeah, not slight caressing with love of will.
A captive audience, would you not?
Yeah.
We're doing now we're doing callbacks to last night's show.
Well, you know, we got a lot of fans who I'm sure were just as invested in the Jin conversation around what his abilities should be named. And because we got a Jin in this game, it's not even entirely irrelevant. On has been landing a lot of deadly flourishes that have turned people into captive audiences. Can he do it again? His first deadly flourish isn't going to connect onto anything, but cease and desist absolutely will. Heru gets blown up, and EDG learns something about assassinating mid laners from last fight.
They split the Red Seas. Maybe they just found Feather. That is a lot of damage, and that is an equalizer onto 3, but nobody can answer this. EDG will grab their kill. They'll look to push in on mid, and they still got 2 minutes. This dragon is under no threat right now.
ZDZ giga chatting with his health in the front line is going to get 2. Make sure that the rest of EDG get out to safety. Lots of healing and shielding coming in from Parukia to make sure this 4th shot doesn't even hurt at all. 2 minutes to the next dragon, and it is worth noting that since we are past the 20-minute mark, picks can come at a pretty high cost. Baron has been available for a little while, and so if instead of Heru go down, we see Junhao, Zhejian go down. Baron, very realistic possibility in the next team fight.
I am just checking. So, scoring a takedown with Hubris. I thought they changed Hubris to be based on whether or not you're melee or ranged, but it seems like that is not the case. I can't wait to get one guide in chat if that is true. But maybe I just also play way too much Aero Mayhem. However, getting flat AD feels pretty nice. I hope we get some kind of indicator. Maybe if he picks up a kill, I can take a look as to how much bonus AD he's getting it. I can't imagine being 1-1 and 5 that he has too much bonus AD when he procs the Eminence. So it's pretty tough to break. So much healing, so much shielding thanks to the Seraphine. And with the Mikhails right next to it, I imagine that even with on-finishing LDR, is going to be a long time before we see this Jin and company get busy with some of the enemies.
And to think we could have just gone Serpent's Fang and been done with it.
Yeah.
He said jokingly, everything, the kitchen sink, and more being thrown out in the river as Junhao re-engages actually onto Zhejian, picks out Leave as well. Leave could go and will go down here. EDG have lost 2. Bulldog running for the hills as Heru actually gets dragged up the wall by ZDZ. A chance to answer here, but the Seraphs gets popped. Heru buys enough time for the rest of ThunderTalk to crawl over this wall and avenge him. ThunderTalk kill 4 members of EDG, and that means the Baron is absolutely on the menu.
And they've got a Baron. If Heru had lived and maybe if that old timer was a lit smaller, they might be able to grab themselves the dragon. I think that is the most important part of all of this. ThunderTalk on the precipice of being able to take game number 1 here. Jeje just goes forward, he misses the Vault Breaker, and his team is not there. Every kill we have seen from EDG has felt like it's a combination of different skills. Look at the timing on that Mikhails! Maybe Feather gets MVP for that, because that Mikhails is the difference between EDG winning the fight and ThunderTalk running over Edward Gaming.
I'm so glad that we slowed down the replay for that, because it is not so often that you're sitting there going, man, what a Mikhails, what a QSS. Normally the fight is so far decided outside of that, but in this particular moment, EDG, you can see why they've been going after Feather so hard, because they know how much damage he can do with a single item right now. We'll see how that changes around the next few minutes. This is still a big win for ThunderTalk, a power play brewing for them. But they've got to actually turn this into a definite advantage in a game that has been very back and forth. EDG are far from out of this.
EDG did grab the dragon, so no soul here for ThunderTalk, at least for another 4 minutes. But I do not like their chances here, Dia. And there's that Serpent's Fang. Oh, did they steal it? I was wondering because we saw in the picture they were on the dragon. No! Oh! Thank you,
Well, at
Lee.
least both
Thank you
teams
for
are
giving us
tilted.
more game time. Thank you for giving us more game time in this one.
I think that getting outsmited by an Ezreal is more tilting than losing a team fight to a Mikhail's. Right?
Oh,
EDG
100%.
have an
If I see the
EDG have an
Mikhails,
advantage here. Yeah.
if I saw the Mikhails, I'd be like, damn, that's pretty clean. But if I see Ezreal, and I see my jungler, by the way, if I see my jungler lose the smite to Ezreal ult, me and my jungler are gonna we're walking into the jungle and one of us is not coming out. That's all I'm gonna
You're
say.
hovering the report button. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no
I've
way
already
that,
clicked
like
the
the
report
muscle
button.
memory doesn't. Yeah.
And there's a report
Kicks
in-game feature, okay? I could just
Yeah.
report and it'll say the report will be has already been sent. Thank you for your feedback. That's what's going to be in my chat box. But now the game's even here, Dia. And we're talking about scaling. We're talking about getting later into the game. There's 3 items completed for a majority of the members of ThunderTalk. And Jhin, as a champion, is just always going to out-damage a champion like Ezreal if they get time to cook. So EDG, we got to get going. We got to find picks. We got to start something here. Hopefully Bulldog can make that happen. You're kind of the primary engage right next to your Vi.
Junhao waiting on the side right now, incredibly potent on the Nefiri, as we saw just last fight. Big threat onto leave as well, and gets to play aggressively in the jungle, knowing that they at least had full vision control of it. EDG now getting to reclaim a little bit of that, and EDG doing a really good job defensively as well. We've talked about how they needed to play around Bulldog earlier. I don't know if that's still true. I mean, we're reaching a point in the game where, yes, Bulldog is strong, but is Syndra the deciding variable anymore in a game that seems to be slipping further and further from your control?
I would say yes, and maybe that's just my Syndra bias kicking in, but like it's Ezreal who look, if he finishes Seraphs, like we can have some kind of discussion there, but I still don't think that he has the amount of upfront damage. Ezreal wants to pepper his opponents, you know, keep throwing out the Mystic shots, get rid of you with like an Essence Flux, and then kind of finish you off with the ultimate or Blink. But Syndra has the upfront damage, also looks to be going to Void Staff, so will just completely destroy one target. I think Bulldog also has had the majority of the gold lead for his team. I personally, you should be responsible with that gold, right?
I hope so. I think that Bulldog, again, incredible potential on this guy. Tends to be pointed in the wrong directions, and I'm not putting that blame on him or his teammates. It's one of them. I'm not sure which. And in this game, it's going to tell us a lot about which it is, because Bulldog is in the position where he can do quite a bit, and as you mentioned, still has to lift quite a bit of weight for EDG. Needs to be in the right spot to do so, and right now joining up with Xiaohao is not a bad start. Xiaohao and Parukia have more often than not decided who dies on ThunderTalk. And if those two are around and Bulldog's there to back him up, nobody from ThunderTalk is safe.
So On just picked up another wave. When does he look for a recall? Teleports are coming in now. It is likely that On will not get access to the Infinity Edge before this fight. ThunderTalk feel like they don't want to make this engage. They're kind of split though.
EDG actually get this turned around on them. Keshi gonna go golden in the front lines as Bulldog eats a huge amount of damage out of the fourth shot. He might be out of this fight entirely. Almost gets killed by the Flux, and ZDZ has got to play the Giga frontline for his team, who cannot step up. ZDZ might actually die for this as Junhao commits for the kill, but is unable to find it. EDG still, all 5 members up. So much of the utility from ThunderTalk has been used, and the ults still up for EDG, who can definitely turn this around. Waiting especially for Xiaohao to kick this off. A lot of safety, a lot of snap engage potential on the Vi as the Dragon gets started up. Cooldowns favor EDG. They've got to make this work. Keshi scary in the front line. Dragon underneath half HP. Bulldog's teleported back in. Junhao is still in smite distance, so the Dragon needs to be forced off. But another equalizer is going to come down. Parukia is going to be forced to flash. The Dragon belongs to EDG, but Heru tries to turn the team fight by going in for the assassination. He will die as Bulldog claims the double kill. Xiaohao gives his first life to the team, buying enough space for the rest of EDG to walk up, and EDG get the Dragon, get the team fight. Do they get more?
Why is EDG allowed to get the Dragon there? That is my question. They were the ones that lost the team fight beforehand, but maybe ThunderTalk thinking we don't have the spells, we don't have the abilities to push them off the objective. We now have 6 Dragons taken in this first game. We are 35 minutes in, and Junhao, it might just be a red buff, and it might just be that is it. Bulldog prevents that from happening. And likely is also going to prevent Junhao from escaping. He has to dash over the wall. Baron goes over to Edward Gaming. And we're still going for game number 1.
EDG putting up a big fight here, and fortunately enough, Junhao is not going to get even more tilted by the Arcane Barrage. We'll take another look back at this team fight to see how EDG survived the initial gauge for ThunderTalk.
That fourth shot from On could have made the difference there. The Parukia's healing with the Seraphine is incredible, and they focus all of their damage. I think the fact that EDG, they come out of these fights being bruised but not dead, it means that ThunderTalk never find those kills. Heru is too short range, she can't deal this damage. On gets completely ripped apart thanks to this Ezreal. Yeah, I was looking at how Junhao was positioning. He goes into his W. There's no one to help him get in. We're going back to live. This could be the end of the game.
We got another engage cooking for EDG, but Xiaohao separates himself from the team a bit too much. Nobody's able to follow up. Leave. Arcane shifting forward this time. May have come up correctly. Keshi gonna go golden for right now, but surely dies. And the Encore connects on Defender, forcing out the Mikhails. ZDZ leaps into the back line and will trade his life away. But the engage from Junhao to follow that up, maybe a bit problematic. Junhao gets out. And an awkward series of trades leaves EDG without much more to do, but this fight's still in their favor, and the Baron still ticking away as well. Inhib gonna go down. Heru, Junhao, and Feather still up. Surely they can keep this from being the end of the game.
30 seconds before Keshi and On. This is just game here.
Junhao not really able to step up anymore. He's trying his best, putting on the fancy feet onto Fury, but EDG are choking ThunderTalk out of this game. Junhao goes for the burst onto Bulldog, but the Nexus is the focus for EDG, who take game 1.
Wow. Fought their way through a defeat, fought their way through adversity, a couple of mistakes here and there, but hey man, this is 7th versus 8th here in Group Ascend. I'm not surprised that that is the case. I am just really impressed with what seemed like stick-to-itiveness coming in from EDG. They made sure that they're playing around Bulldog, who I asked to step up, and we did see in those later fights, the scatters were incredible, and the amount of damage that this Syndra had was unmatched.
Yeah, Bulldog really got a chance to shine during the course of this game, and credit to the rest of the team for forming up around that as well. Bulldog had a lot to work with in the form of Xiaohao, just picking somebody to die. He would go, we're ulting somebody. Leave would go, all right, bet. And Bulldog, he got to lay down his cooldowns with impunity. It helps a lot that ThunderTalk weren't able to really focus on Bulldog with the distance that he had between him and the rest of the ThunderTalk roster, especially after the fight that happened in the mid lane. We really saw a turnaround in the way that EDG were positioning. They were playing and pulling Bulldog a lot further back, which at times worried me, thinking that Bulldog wasn't going to be able to get involved into the fight. But when ThunderTalk committed, Bulldog was right in the safe position that they needed him to be.
And all of this draft ended up coming together here for EDG. I think Seraphine had a lot of clutch moments where we similarly got to see her use her Mikhails, but just the overwhelming amount of healing and shielding that this champion offered to the team was incredible. And then the combos were just easy to play. Vi ultimate allows you to Seraphine ultimate. And with all that CC, it should be illegal if you miss a Seraphine, or if you miss a Syndra ultimate as well, and her E. So just use everything on that target. That person should die 9 times out of 10. And we got to see that be the case here. ThunderTalk, wow, great job, EDG. 700 total victories. I didn't even think they were going to reach 5 this split with how it started, but now they have 5 game victories so far.
I mean, imagine you start the split as EDG, as the coaching staff are like, yeah, we got this in the bag. We're going to hit the 700 easy this split, and we're coming up on the end of the season, and they're like, oh my god, we barely made it. But EDG do manage to pick up their 700th win of the LPL. EDG also have a pretty strong argument for Bulldog in this game with 42,000 damage. Likely picking up an MVP.
Yep. And remember, ThunderTalk need to win tonight. It doesn't matter if it's 2-1. It doesn't matter if it's 2-0. Well, okay, I guess it can't be a 2-0 now, but they need to win if they don't want to be locked for playoffs. If they lose this series, they cannot catch up with LGD. Their game differential is too high, and that would essentially mean that they're going to be playing up against either Ninjas in Pajamas and IG, who will find out who that is going to be in the 1st and 2nd seed tomorrow, actually. But ThunderTalk, we need to work on this. Like, part of this game is kind of on Junhao, right? Like, he is the carry of this team. Sure. He is the captain of this team, and you have to kind of burden or hold that burden as the captain. But I also think that Heru did not have a ton of damage in this game. Like, we saw it in that post-game screen, but this Rise was, for lack of a better term, quite useless.
Sure. And I think it's a tough game as Heru as well. You are pretty tanky on the Rise, but it's really difficult to justify walking into Rise's relatively short damage range against Syndra, Ezreal, with a Seraphine and a Vi that can very quickly kill you as well. Heru really had to play quite cautiously, and so I mean, I agree. He is likely the biggest underperformer for ThunderTalk in this game, and you can see why it might have happened that way. The composition making it difficult for him to execute, and Heru perhaps lacking some of the confidence necessary to step up to EDG when he really needed to. Was going for a lot of nice flanks. We even saw it in this fight, but even then, Heru's not in the fight.
Exactly. He's not dealing damage. That's doesn't matter what champion you're playing. So I did the math really quickly because stat websites are not going to be that quickly updated. Now that Heru has played 20 games of Rise, what do you think his win rate is on this champion?
It can't be good. I'm going to say...
So out of 20 games, 15, how many games do you think he's won?
15%.
Okay.
That means he's won 3
games. If I was Heru, you and I would be having an argument. Be like, damn, you think I'm that bad? It's a little better than that. He's won 7 games.
Okay, wow. That's more than twice what I thought he would have won.
But still pretty bad. That's a 35% win rate, and it's his most played.
I think that my perception here was definitely skewed by my recent research in the LPL. No, like recently I've been looking for champions that teams are picking a lot of and also losing a lot on. And during yesterday's series, the Ambessa was one of them that I was like, I'm very excited to talk about. Didn't end up working out because it got picked away from them. But I've been watching a lot of numbers that have high pick rates and absolutely terrible win rates.
Well, a lot of them probably got tanked thanks to ThunderTalk and EDG. So you can thank both of our teams who are participating in this one here tonight. MVP, for me, it's Bulldog. I think very clearly he had a large impact in this game. He was the best mid laner in this one. And, hey, 40% of his team's damage. Jesus Christ. Bulldog, I have said very mean things about you all year, whether it was you on LNG when you were just, being a humble pog farmer for Mr. Croco, or being completely invisible, but you could make it up by not only winning tonight's series, but but also dunking on whoever is first place from Nirvana. That would instantly shut me up. I think that would be very based, personally.
It seems like that's the arc EDG are on, you know, shaping up towards the end of the season. The fact that they've managed to find one win here is not enough to actually complete that point for me. If EDG do not win here against ThunderTalk, I am dubious of how their end of season will go. I need them to win next game in order for me to feel really confident about putting my stamp of approval on this team heading into playoffs, but I believe that they can do it. 1 game left if you're an EDG fan, and 2 left if you're a ThunderTalk fan. We'll find out which is true when we come back from the break.
Oh, we gotta do the read. We gotta do the read. Yeah! Hey, are you guys enjoying LPL English? Well, guess what? If you want to hear even worse metaphors, if you want to have 9 game days, you can tap in at Coffee. Coffee is the best way to help support the LPL English project. That is, all of your contributions go towards building out this show. A lot of it helps to go upgrade the broadcast, but as a volunteer broadcast, as a broadcast made by fans, a lot of the contributions go to paying us on-air talent, and subscribe to the Coffee, which will be linked in chat to unlock perks like early access to content and the ability to ask interview questions, which will be coming up soon as we get ready for Worlds right around the corner. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back for game number 2.